Hello, everybody. I'm Giuseppe Vacciago, and we have the pleasure to have with us Çağrı Cetinkaya.
Hello.
So today we have a wonderful opportunity to evaluate and to know a little bit more about the Turkish law, and we will have a wonderful review on the Turkish tech law, thanks to Çağrı. So first of all, Çağrı, I would like to ask you, who are you? So if you can make a short presentation. I know that you have a real good experience on regulatory compliance, more than 18 years, but I would like to have from you some insight about your experience.
Thank you very much. So shortly, like I'm Çağrı Cetinkaya, as you correctly pronounced. It's a very difficult Turkish name. And I have been practicing for the past 18 years, mostly on regulatory compliance. And since the application of the entry into force of the Turkish data protection law, I have been mostly practicing data and tech for the past like 10 years, I can say. I'm qualified in New York and Istanbul in terms of my practice, but I practice Turkish law. I'm one of the partners of IECO. I head the data and technology department, and we are an independent Istanbul-based law firm. A good number of people we have big law backgrounds, and we have established this firm a while back. And we mostly work with international clients, so that gives me the opportunity to have a comparative view of laws. It is a thing that I enjoy. I think that's about it.
Thanks a lot. Really, really interesting experience. So the first question for you is, can you tell me a little bit about the legal landscape and the cybersecurity law? I know that you have, it's a really open question, so we don't have so much time, but just to give you a short overview.
Sure. So in terms of the laws we have, the cybersecurity law is very new. Like it just came into force last month. Actually, it's a very good time to speak about this. And it entered into force on March 2025. And we had no comprehensive law very recently on cybersecurity. But we had, and still have, the personal data protection law, which is a version of a European data protection law from the previous directive. And that law, data protection law we have, has some technical requirements, technical measures that are basically information technology measures, which are very parallel with cybersecurity requirements that the new law has, and actually as a science what cybersecurity is. And on top of these, we had some circulars and measures that has been published by the presidency previously, which have been taken over by the new law. And there are sector-specific requirements for like finance sector, etc. But this is a very general one. I will just not go to details with that. And by March, we had a full-fledged presidency, a new authority on cybersecurity, and that's the landscape.
Thanks a lot. So I would like to have, if it's possible, because I understand that there is this cybersecurity law, but it's not so clear. And sorry if I switch a little bit on another issue. Yeah. I know that I'm going a little bit further, but I'm really curious. So I want to ask you something about the relation between the NIS2 directive, that now is really important directive in Europe, and the Turkish cybersecurity law. I saw that you have a wonderful slide about this.
Sure.
So if you can tell me about this, and then we come back to other point that regarding the cybersecurity law.
Definitely, and it will be more appealing to the international audience we have. Everybody talks about NIS2 these days. We had a wonderful roundtable at the previous ITech Law Conference, actually, in Munich, on that. So in terms of the NIS2 and Turkish cybersecurity law, these both are cybersecurity regulations. There's no doubt about it. They have this common ground. They both have some definitions and some focus on certain sectors. in this Turkish cybersecurity law, we have this critical infrastructure that is defined, and there are critical sectors and important sectors defined under NIS2 law, and there are notification obligations which exist under NIS2 and which also exist under cybersecurity law. The thing is, NIS2 directive is more clear for the time being on when to notify. Our law says immediately. I think we will know more about when to notify, and if there are any thresholds, if everything is notifiable. It seems everything is notifiable for our law, and we will also know more about when to notify within which periods of windows of time. There are administrative sanctions under our law. It can go up to a percentage of your revenue. I think it's the same in the NIS2 as well. The cybersecurity presidency and the council has a broad authority in Turkey. They can just ask ask for documents, information. They can audit you. They can do on-site investigations. They can seize systems and data. I think this is more of the member state kind of jurisdiction for NIS2, and we have a lot of criminal offenses, which is it's a distinct thing about this law. There are jail time in terms of data breaches, disinformation about the data breaches, if you don't provide information, things like that. So these are, I think, interesting to hear for our audience, because the thing is, the cybersecurity law covers in Turkey everyone opposed to NIS2. It's the cybersecurity law states, our law states, the certain companies, blah blah blah, who uses information technology systems to provide services is within this scope of the law, and it also says you're within the scope of the law if you're acting in the cyberspace, which means everyone is affected. But there are stricter requirements for critical infrastructure and public authority, public bodies like ministries and such. I think that's a very general comparison I can say. I will be happy to elaborate.
But sorry if I interrupt you, but as you said, it's really interesting for us to see the connection between the criminal sanction and the administrative sanction, because I saw that in the administrative sanction between NIS2 and the Turkish law is really similar, 2.4 billion, but the revenue is 5%. So there is this, and the total revenue in the NIS directive is a little bit less, but we are discussing about something that is similar. What is really different is the imprisonment, the possibility to make an arrest in a case of a data breach. So I don't really understand what could be the criminal liability. Sorry if I make this stupid question, but it's a situation where is the data controller that or something that make the breach, or so there is a sort of willingness to commit the crime or not. It's just a mistake. So what about this? Or is the author of the data breach? So basically it's a cyber crime in a certain sense. So sorry if I ask you this, because it's not
no worries.
But there
is this your usual very understandable parts where there is, if you commit the crime and if you kind of get the cyber crime fruits and make some soup out of them, and so use these cybercrime consequences to benefit, you may face these criminal offenses. The person who is committing the cybercrime, of course, and also if these things, the data, which may be the personal data or critical infrastructure data in the cyberspace, and you use that, for instance, to provide services in the dark web, then you may also face these. And I think these are more or less understandable. Which is the more peculiar ones are this. If you fail to provide information, documents, software, data, and hardware requested by the authority, then you may also face criminal sanctions. And if you, for instance, carry out unauthorized activity in terms of cybersecurity services, you may also face these criminal consequences, criminal offenses. And also, there's a very interesting part. It says, who cause a data breach by acting contrary to the requirements of their duties within the scope of protecting critical infrastructure against cyber attacks. It kind of like implies that like if you do something wrong, as I don't know, director of cybersecurity, you will be facing jail. It's open to debate. Is this a very new law? I think it's a criminal law question as well. I think there may be some willingness to commit the crime, but we will see, like how this will be operated in real life. But it's just to be extra careful, right? And for administrative sanctions, you can defend yourself before the authority within 30 days. They just actually let you know of what's going to happen, and you provide a defense. And if you are not happy about the administrative fines, you go to administrative court. Very reasonable and understandable. Criminal part is more concerning.
Thanks a lot for this explanation. So I see also, and then this is the last question that I make about the cybersecurity law, that there is a good connection, a strong connection between cybersecurity law and basically criminal law. So, and it's also remind me the criminal law when I saw in your presentation the inspection authority under the law. So the point regarding the inspection. So it seems that also the seizure procedure,
yes,
you can explain, it's similar to the criminal law. So explain me again how it's the connection. Sorry, because it's really interesting, this point.
Sure. We had a slide on this. Perhaps it will be easier to understand, because it's a bit complicated. So the authority has brought powers to carry out the will of this law, and among these starts with audits. They can have structured or unstructured audits for public bodies and critical infrastructure companies. The presidency has to do it itself or be present in those audits. For other companies, they can use independent auditors. This is the audit part. And if you don't cooperate, you will face administrative fines and criminal offenses. That's one thing. On top of that, there are on-site searches and seizures. They can just come by and carry out these its powers in the workplaces, like residences, for national security, public order, or preventing crimes and cyber attacks purposes. You need a judge, court decision of a judge, and if there is a urgency, it can be a public prosecutor's order, later followed up by a judge decision. So there's a degree of how can I say, judicial overview and judicial protection of these seizures. And the thing is, if these are illegal, then you can actually cancel these seizures, and the authority has to destroy the documents it has. So there is almost like you said, a criminal law, very heavy criminal law smell to this, in these sections. So, but it will be something the commercial operations in Turkey should be aware of, and should be prepared against.
Yeah, very interesting. So we have to really rush, because there is a lot of information that you have to say. What to do now with the Turkish cybersecurity law in a nutshell? So
very quick, 4 points.
Yes,
just have your asset inventory and risk assessments in place. Just get your cybersecurity training, awareness, and culture in place. Your chain is as strong as your weakest link. Establishing a cyber incident response team, if you're a large enough organization, is recommended. Critical infrastructure companies will be stated by the authority in the next year or so. but you can get that service from cybersecurity companies as well. And you have need policy and guidelines in place which should be applicable. So I think that's about it. And you should also like get some like advice on cybersecurity and legal advice on how to prepare yourself.
Thanks. Really clear. Now we can we have to go really faster to the AI situation, because now we are really curious also to know how is the AI regulation in Turkey. But before to arrive at this, we can make a comparison between cybersecurity and data protection. What are the general principles? What is the situation in a nutshell again in Turkey about this?
Okay. So I think it's the general the consideration between data protection and cybersecurity. Our cybersecurity law and cybersecurity laws are generally very security focused laws, and data protection is in essence a human rights law. So securities and freedoms, but there are also overlaps and synergies. In cybersecurity, for instance, there are cybersecurity measures that you need to take, which are also more or less the same under data protection law. So if you keep your system with the good cybersecurity hygiene, if your system is safe in terms of information security, it's good for both data protection and cybersecurity. And on top of that, we have this CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and accessibility principles under cybersecurity. These are also more or less applicable in terms of the data protection law. Confidentiality is applicable for non-public personal data. Integrity is on par with the accuracy principle, for instance. And then availability allows you access to the personal data. If your data subject requires it, you have to make it available, the access, right?
Yeah. And another example is, yes, you were talking about this.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the Turkish data protection law and the cybersecurity law?
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect question. We have a data breach notification under the Turkish data protection law, 72 hours. No GDPR-like thresholds, by the way, but in practice, companies make like risk-based decisions because you have to notify everything if you read the letter of the law. Under the cybersecurity law, you have to continuously inform the authority, a different authority, about vulnerabilities and cyber incidents. One of the different parts here is vulnerabilities. In a cybersecurity environment and law, legal or otherwise, vulnerabilities are always there. Weaknesses like security gaps. The job of cybersecurity professionals is to find these and solve these. In every meeting, monthly, whatever, weekly, you work on these. And this law requires you to continuously let the authority know. I'm hoping and expecting, hopefully, to a clarification in the coming months on this, because you need to, if you need to tell everything, you need a separate department to tell everything for every company. It's a bit unreasonable, right? So I think this is one of the main parts, main differences.
Thanks, Çağrı. And then we can finally arrive at the artificial intelligence in Turkey.
Of course.
I leave you the floor for a presentation. I'm really interested also about the number of crime that could happen in connected with AI in Turkey, and if you have some example. But we will arrive. So before, my first question is to have a short presentation about this point.
Sure. The AI subject, of course, we have to talk about it, though no presentation is complete without the AI references these days. Just a very quick overview. We do not have an AI regulation like the AI Act in Europe, but we have laws applicable to them, to these activities actually, like the data protection law, IP laws, like the cybersecurity law, etc. So, and the data protection authority is very active in this area, like providing views, opinions, guidelines. For instance, in a chatbot opinion, it says the chatbot should be like use international standards in terms of its like security, information security. It should provide user awareness, it should provide, it should have like a risk assessment beforehand, and etc. And on top of that, we have like general recommendations on artificial intelligence, which also like make some comments about accountability and risk assessments as well. So I think that just to add to that, we have like a plan to 2024-2025 plan and strategy in terms of at the national level. The government is taking this seriously. So from agriculture to like, I don't know, information technology, they are trying to like make this available, this technology available, make it like easier to use, but it's too the detail to get to speak about with the limited time frame we have. I think that's a bird's eye view of AI. Like
yes, I know that we have a limited time, but it's really interesting these arguments. So remaining on this last slide, when you talk about the national AI strategy, I would like to understand a little bit more what is the idea. So in Europe, for example, we have the AI Act that is basically for the producer, for the provider, so for the product. And then we decided to stop the directive on liability of AI. And this was a decision made by the European Commission. I don't know if it's right decision or not, but this was the last decision. The strategy is to have, if I understand well, in Turkey, to have a single guideline act legislation,
yes. Yes.
single specific market. So this is the idea. Thanks, Chair.
Yes, there is actually work going on in the Parliament on the establishment of an AI Research Commission, and they're also working on an AI Act, as far as I know. But it's in a bit of the preliminary stages. There have been some proposals in the past for a comprehensive AI Act, and I think we will have that in the coming years. It's my personal expectations, and I think it will be more or less similar to the European legislation, because we, as a country, as a jurisdiction, follow the European example in these areas. I can say that I think it's going to the direction of having one like comprehensive regulation. But in the meantime, if you are interested in this subject, Turkish Data Protection Authority provides useful guidelines for decision makers, like deployers, users, etc. So if you want to be like compliant previously, just have a look at some guidelines of the Turkish Data Protection Authority. It will be a useful tool.
Thanks. So basically, the role of the Data Protection Authority in Turkey is really relevant, if I understand well, because there is an important connection in the cybersecurity law, an important connection in the AI law that we will have in the future everywhere. Last two questions. The first question is if you have the perception that in your country there is an incrementation and implementation of new crime connected to AI, and you have this kind of feeling, or the situation is similar respect of
well, the phishing activity it becomes very easy with the use of AI. The Turkish cyber criminal community is very inventive, so we know that they use the AI tools in their activity. Having said that, this will be probably handled by the Cybersecurity Authority that we will have. More than the Data Protection Authority or even the AI Authority in the future. I'm not sure if there will be a separate authority for the AI. I expect so. I suspect so. But for the criminal part, I think Cyber Security Presidency and Cybersecurity Council will be very relevant. Cybersecurity Council is a powerful council headed by the president of the Turkey, like attended by the Minister of Justice, the head of the National Intelligence Agency, etc. So I think for the cybersecurity part, AI-powered cybersecurity part, cybersecurity presidency will be relevant.
Thanks. Really interesting. And the last question, it's a really provocative question. I'm sorry.
My favorite kind. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, what is your opinion? And please, I want to have your clear and truth opinion about the AI Act. Is it the right strategy to have this kind of regulation, or as, for example, we have heard from United States or other countries, it's too much regulation for a technology, and it's simpler to regulate a fundamental right like data protection, and it's really difficult to regulate technology. So what is your opinion? It is the right way, the AI Act, or it's a big mistake?
I think it's a right tool, but that tool is not that powerful against the powers that be, the technology companies that we face. The AI technology just moves. With regulation, I have no issues. Like it takes good steps, like a risk-based approach, etc. So it's trying to do the right things in terms of protecting rights of the individuals. But the AI technology, the power and money that will be derived out of it, is supranational, more powerful than the regulators. So in order to have a coherent AI strategy, there should be international tech diplomacy on AI. Rather than EU having an AI regulation in place, there should be like a universal strategy to be agreed upon, because I think it's a very important subject which affects everyone. So we should just find the common ground and move on with it. I don't know if it's possible in this current political climate or not to come to that. Like we are like raising tariffs and whatnot. It's not our area, but I think that will be the right way to do this.
Thanks. Really diplomatic, but also correct answer. So, and it was not simple, this kind of answer. So thanks a lot, Çağrı. Your presentation was wonderful. You gave to us in 25 minutes a lot of useful information about Turkey law, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for interesting questions.
Bye.
Bye.